Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're completely demystifying something that honestly causes just endless headaches for students and researchers alike, and that's the strict, uncompromising rules of academic citations. If you've ever stared blankly at your screen, just wondering how on earth to insert someone else's words into your own work without breaking the rules, losing those easy points, or worse, committing accidental plagiarism, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the anatomy of a Harvard-style direct quote, making it incredibly clear and, believe it or not, surprisingly simple. So, here's the core challenge we all run into. How do you perfectly format a direct quote? Integrating sources is really the lifeblood of good research, but doing it improperly, that's the fastest way to lose points on a paper or just completely undermine your credibility. It can feel like you're walking through a minefield of punctuation and formatting rules, but it really doesn't have to be. We're going to turn this daunting question into a simple step-by-step checklist. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Section 1, the Golden Rule.
Okay, before we even start worrying about brackets or years or reference lists, we really have to look at the raw material itself, the very foundation of quoting. As our source material clearly states, a direct quotation must reproduce the source exactly. So, the absolute crucial point here is strictness. You can't paraphrase, you cannot tweak a word just to make it fit your sentence a little better, and no, you cannot even fix their typos. You are capturing a literal snapshot of the original text. If it's a direct quote, it has to be an exact mirror reflection of the original author's words, period.
Section 2, formatting your quotes.
So now that we have our exact, completely untouched text, how do we visually dress it up on the page so the reader immediately recognizes it as a quote? Well, we actually have two different paths here, and it depends entirely on the length. Short quotes are super straightforward. You just use standard quotation marks around the text. But longer quotations might actually require block quote formatting. That means you'll need indentation and, crucially, no quotation marks at all. Now, a quick heads up, these rules can vary by institution, so you always need to double-check your specific university style guide to find out exactly how many words actually trigger that shift from a short quote to a long indented block quote.
Section 3, the in-text citation. Here's the thing. A perfectly formatted, exactly reproduced quote is entirely useless. And honestly, it's actually a massive academic liability if it doesn't have its proper identification tag right next to it. For traditional, paginated sources, think physical books or printed journals, Harvard styles require a very specific trio of information: author, year, and page number. Every single time you drop a quote onto your page from a book, you absolutely must provide this in-text citation immediately alongside it. It tells your reader exactly who said it, when they said it, and exactly what page they can turn to if they want to go read it for themselves.
Section 4, referencing digital media. Now, obviously, we don't just read physical books anymore, right? So how do you properly cite digital sources that just don't have traditional page numbers? Well, assuming your style guide permits it, you gotta use an alternative locator. For web pages, you'd use a paragraph number or maybe a section heading to guide the reader down the scroll of the page. And for audiovisual sources, things like videos and podcasts, you just use a timestamp. This is actually brilliant because it ensures that even in an hour-long podcast or some massive web article, your reader can instantly jump to the exact second or paragraph where your quote lives. Section 5, the final reference.
Okay, so we formatted the quote, we've added the in-text citation, but that in-text citation is really just a brief pointer. The job isn't finished quite yet. A quotation still requires a full, detailed reference at the very end of your document, right there in your bibliography. To make this whole part a lot easier, our source explicitly highlights a great tool you can use, the Harvard Reference Generator, which you can find at harvardreferencegenerator.co.uk. This tool is awesome because it can automatically generate both your in-text citation and that long, detailed, full reference for the end of your paper.
But wait a second, you really can't just blindly trust automation. The source material gives us a pretty strict warning that translates into a highly memorable three-step procedure. Step 1, generate the citation and reference using the tool. Easy enough. But then comes the human element. Step 2, you must verify the quoted wording against the original source to ensure it really is that exact reproduction we talked about. And step 3, you have to verify the locator, whether that's a page number, paragraph, or timestamp, against the original source. The generator definitely does the heavy lifting of formatting, but at the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility for absolute accuracy falls entirely on you. Which finally brings us to a crucial, even provocative question you need to ask yourself before you hit submit on any piece of writing. Is every single quote perfectly reproduced, cited, and referenced? You now have the foolproof checklist for this. You know the golden rule of exact reproduction, you know exactly how to format based on length, you've got the locators down for both print and digital media, and you know how to generate and verify your final references. If you apply these steps to your own writing right now, you are literally never going to have to stress over a direct quote again. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and cite with absolute confidence.